Today I'm going to be talking about export presets in Lightroom. So I have my images here. I can select one image, any of these images here, or I can select the first image, hold down the Shift key, and select all of these images. I'm going to go to Export, down at the bottom left there. Now we're going to create some new export presets that are going to be stored right here in User Presets. And to do that, we're going to do, first of all, a low-res preset or something that we can use for email. And I'm going to set these all to go to the desktop. So the first thing I'm going to do is click up here. I'm going to put it in a specific folder, and Lightroom's going to save all these steps for us. So it's set to the desktop right there. If it's not, you would simply choose your desktop right here. And I'm going to put it in a subfolder on the desktop. We're going to call this low resolution. And then coming down here to the next, the only thing we're going to deal with here is just your file settings. We don't need to worry about file name or video. So file settings, this is going to be for email use, low res use. So we're going to set it to JPEG, sRGB. I like to keep mine a little bit higher. I want to put this up to around 70. And then coming down here to the resize, I simply just set this to resize on the long edge. So whether it's vertical or horizontal image, that longest edge. And I'm going to set it to 800 because a lot of screens today can handle that much for an email. Anything on screen we're going to use is going to be 72 dpi, so we're going to leave that right there. And then we're going to go ahead and sharpen it just a little bit on the output for the screen mode, and we're going to set it to low. So these are my settings. At the top, it's going from the desktop to a low resolution folder on the desktop. And the next setting is going to be a JPEG sRGB quality at 70. And then we're going to resize the image long edge to 800 pixels long at 72 dpi. And we're going to sharpen for the screen, and we're going to set that to low. So before I do this, I'm going to go ahead over here in my user presets. I'm going to add a user preset. It's going to save all these settings, so I have to set it every time. So I'm going to add that. I'm going to call this my low resolution preset. And it's going to add it to the folder of user presets. So create that. So now I've got that saved there. I'll go ahead and export these now. You can see right up here at the top left our export bar, and then it comes up. Now all these have been saved in our low resolution. These are temporary files, so you can throw those away. And you can see it's on my desktop, and it's in a folder on my desktop called low resolution right there. So now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go back here. We can select another image, and we can say export. And this one we're going to do a medium resolution. And medium resolution would be something you could post to Facebook, something you could take to Costco and get a 4x6 print made of. It's kind of that medium resolution. So we're going to go once again to the top. We're just going to change this right here. We're going to create a new preset and a new folder on our desktop called medium resolution. We're not going to worry about these other fields except for the image. We're going to leave that right there at JPEG. We're going to leave this at sRGB because a lot of like Costco's and Walmart's and places like that use sRGB color space. And since this is going to be a print and maybe something larger, we're going to go ahead and set our quality up to 90. So we can get a real nice file. It's still going to be small. And so set the quality to 90. So right here in this resize, we're going to do that long edge now. We're going to change that to 2000. And that's roughly about a 4x6. And roughly about the largest size you can post to Facebook as well. Once again, we're going to leave that at 72 dpi because it's going to be at 2000 pixels, and it can be used on Facebook or for printing. And we're going to come down here, we're going to sharpen, and on this one, we're just going to sharpen for screen at low again, and that's going to apply just a real slight sharpness to it. So once again, we're here. Instead of moving on to the export, first we're going to do add. And now we're going to call this medium resolution. And we're going to save that, once again, our user presets. You can see it's there. I'll go ahead and export. And you can see it exported there. We can also see if I go to my desktop, a new folder was created called medium resolution. So now for the final settings, we're going to do a high resolution. So this would be if you want the biggest file you can possibly get from your picture. And export out as a JPEG. So this is the largest JPEG file that you can get. So we're going to select a file, click on export. And here at the top, we're just going to change that to high resolution. And the next thing we're going to do down here is change this from JPEG. We'll just leave it at JPEG. We could change this if you're doing it with a really professional high-end lab. You could do a Adobe or Pro Photo color space, but most of the labs use sRGB. So we're going to leave it there. We'll go ahead and set this to 100. So there's going to be the most information in this JPEG file that we can get. And instead of setting it resize the long edge, we're not going to resize it, but we are going to change this to 300 dpi. Oops, 300 dpi. Once again, 300 dpi for the image resizing. And what that will do is export out your biggest file at 300 dpi, which is the largest JPEG you can get and ready for printing. And so down here, instead of sharpen, I'm going to turn that sharpening off on this one because we don't want to sharpen it. We just export the file out the way it is. And then once again, I need to go add my preset, high resolution, and create that. And now I'm going to export this out. And you can see that file went exported out. It's on my desktop. It created a folder on my desktop called high resolution. So now these folders are going to stay on your desktop until you throw them away. My recommendation is just leave them there. Every time you need to export out, you can export out this way, and you can know that whatever export preset you choose, your picture is going to be in that file on your desktop. Keep in mind those files on your desktop are temporary. You may throw those away. Those are not the original files. And that is one way to save time in Lightroom using the export presets. Thank you.